So the word kadesh begins with a hazmana. So first things first, we need to know what we're doing. What we have to invite ourselves also is to a mental picture of a very important aspect. That Hashem is constantly with us. And again, like I said, you can't just dream this up in the moments of the Seder. It won't work. From today, start learning, open a sefer about bitachon. Open a sefer about emunah. Say the pasuk, Shiviti Hashem Leidi Tamid, at least 5, 6, 7 times a day. And look at the pasuk. Don't just say it. Look at the UK Vavke. Think about, what does that mean? What does it mean? God is in front of you. When you're tempted to do something, take out the Siddur and say that pasuk. That will be a good sigula to know if you feel it. If you feel really God's in front of you. Even if I'll tell you like this, even try, maybe if you want to eat a chocolate or something, you all of a sudden you have a sweet tooth. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but try it with that. Say, wait a minute, why am I eating the food? Am I eating the food because I want it, and I need it, and it's going to need energy to learn Torah? Or do I just want to feed this energy bar because I got to have it? Say the pasuk, Shiviti Hashem Negdi Tamid. Hashem, am I doing this for you? Because in the end of the day, that's what we want to do. Everything, kol ma'asecha yu mechubarim l'shem shamayim. Everything's going to be for Shem Shamayim. When you sing at Leil Seder, you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for Shem Shamayim. You're doing it for the sake of heaven. So if you're in, again, everyone thinks that Chag Pesach is the jolly Chag. And I'm going to try tonight, Bezat Hashem, to bring it down to reality, because we need to think about it. We need to be a little bit in awe. It's good to be in Simcha, for sure. Even with Hashem is Simcha. But before the Chag, at least bring yourself into an awe moment. I'm going to switch gears for a moment and go into the awe moment. By Makat Choshech, which was the ninth plague, it says the following: Vayet Moshe et yado al hashamayim. Moshe stretches his hand on the heavens. Vayi choshech afela bechol eretz Mitzrayim. There was a darkness, fog, shloshet yamim, 3 days. And now here's the pasuk. It says, sorry. Vayim Hashem Moshe netei yadecha al hashamayim, vayi choshech al eretz Mitzrayim, vayamesh choshech. So the translation is that Hashem told the Moshe, stretch your hand out towards the heavens, and there shall be darkness upon the land of Egypt, and the darkness shall be what it calls tangible. Yamesh. Yamesh is like you can feel it. To be a darkness that you can feel. I was thinking about if to say this part and not say this part, and I'm going to go with it. Because again, to be in Simcha requires a little bit of awe. I heard a very powerful shur that in the Rav in the shur said that every one of the 10 makot were corresponding to a dark time in the history of the Jews. And the 9th makah of Choshech was corresponding to the dark time of the Shoah, of the Holocaust. So how do you know? So he says the following, that Chazal teach us that if you want to understand the power of a word, take the letters that come before the word. What's the proof? You know, it says that if a person hits somebody else, he shalem ayin tachat ayin, an eye for an eye. But Chazal teach us that doesn't mean literally an eye for an eye. How do you know that? Because if you take the letters that come before the word ayin, ayin is spelled ayin, yud, nun. So before an ayin is a samech, right? Before yud, yeah. Did I say it right? After the. So after the letters. So after an ayin is a pei. After yud is a chaf, and after nun, samech, right? Spells the word kesef, money. So from there, the Chazal learn that when it says ayin tachat ayin, it really means kesef. Now it works both ways. There's many different things. But I want to show you what happens with the word vayamesh. The Rav said that the word vayamesh, you won't find it in the rest of the Chumash. It's not in the Chumash. It's a very strange word to describe the choshech. And so he says, let's take the letters that come before the word vayamesh. Before a vav is a hey. Before a yud is a tet. Before a mem is a lamed. Before a shin is a resh. Hey, yud, hey, tet, lamed, resh is the word Hitler.
No way.
we didn't make it up. So that's what you're doing. Vayamesh. The darkest era of that feeling, you're going to feel the choshech. Hashem said. He was talking to the Mitzrayim, but he was also talking to Am Yisrael. There was going to come a time that there's going to be a choshech, and that you're going to learn what Yetziat Mitzrayim is all about. When we think about that era and that time, it's easy to just remember the catastrophe and the tragedies and the etc. etc. But I want to give you some stories of the Geula within the Shoah. When we say that Chag Pesach is the Chag Geula, the holiday of redemption, what's the difference between Independence Day celebrated in the United States or Yom HaAtzmaut in Israel and Chag Pesach? They're all representing some sort of a freedom from an oppressor, and we finally became free. What's the difference? The difference is very simple. Pesach is not talking about a physical freedom, because you can be physically free, and yet you can still be enslaved to the Yetzer Hara. That's why Chazal tell us, "En Hirut el osek b'Torah." The only person who is free is a person who is learning Torah constantly, because then he becomes free of the ta'ava, of the desires of the Yetzer Hara. If not, he is no different than a person who's like what you call a crack addict. A crack addict is addicted to something. A person who is addicted to work is addicted to work. He feels that he needs and needs and needs and needs and needs and needs. He's addicted to physicality. A person who eats to fill his belly, he's addicted to food. There's a lot of addictions in the world, and the way you remove yourself from the addictions is only through Torah. It's only through Torah. There's no other way around it. I saw a very scary statement in the Rav Pinkus brings out from the Ramchal that a person can go through life, and if he's not learning Torah, his mitzvot are artificial. They're artificial because they're artificially inflated, just like the chametz is artificially inflated. It looks big, but it's all full of air. The root of doing the mitzvah has to start with changing a person's midot, changing a person's character traits. That starts with his mental impression, his mental ideas, and then it translates to physical way that he acts. So I want to tell you a few stories of things in the Shoah that represent that even though they were in physical slavery, quote unquote slavery, it's not slavery, it was death camps, they were still free. There was a story of a man that he was known as the singer of the camps. He was going around and singing and trying to get everybody simcha. And he said, everybody's looking at him like, what? What are you doing simcha? Simcha here? There's no simcha here. It doesn't exist. The word happiness doesn't exist here. And the Nazis saw him, and they told him, stop it. And they beat him and they hit him, and he's still singing. So the officer said, remove the clothes, dig a hole with your bare hands, and this is where you're gonna rest. This is gonna be the final spot. And so he's removing the clothes, and he gets to the tzitzit, and he says, remove that. No, I'll shoot you right here. He says, what you got to do? Not removing it. He says, what is that you won't remove it? He says, this shows me that I'm different than you. Down here, you think that you rule everything. But the tzitzit, when we look at the tzitzit, right, we know that you're supposed to look at the tzitzit, and you're going to look back and you're going to remember Hashem. He says, he's the one who really runs everything. He runs everything. As oppressed as the Jewish nation was in that moment, they still had the idea, who runs the show? Who runs the show? And they told it to him in their face. In their face, they told it to them. Do you know what the Nazi did? He said, get up. He got him a visa, sent him to America. This was a true story from Musar. This was the courage that the people of the Shoah had. I want to tell you, again, we're jumping from side to side, and one of the parts of the Haggadah that is not in the Haggadah, it's the prerequisite of the Haggadah. We start with the Haggadah, again, Kaddish V'Urchatz, and we want to sing all the things, but we start talking about our lineage. Avram Avinu, he came from Terach, and all the way how we got to Egypt. What we sometimes miss, the point is that there was something called the Brit Betarim, a covenant between Hashem and Avram Avinu. And this is quoted from the Rav Hirsch Haggadah. He says the following: Avram Avinu brought 3 sacrifices. He brought 3 bulls, 3 goats, and 3 sheep, and also 3 birds, pigeons and turtle doves. Okay? He puts them there, sacrifices them, puts them there, and God comes and he tears apart the 3 bulls, and he tears apart the 3 goats, and he tears apart the 3 sheep, but the pigeons remain alive and they fly away. Okay? Very odd story. What's going on here? So Rav Hirsch explains the following. He says, when you look at sacrifices that they brought, or you will read about, the sacrifices aren't just coincidental, or they just happen to have a bull, so you brought a bull. He says every sacrifice represents a certain idea. The bull represents strength, the ability to move mountains. Just get out and go and pull. The goat is called an ez, right? Represents resistance. That's why it's called ez, like Oz. Oz, like is a person who has no, you can't stop him. He's not afraid. And the sheep represents a very, assuming not a sheep, he didn't bring a sheep, he brought an ayil. An ayil is a ram. A ram is the herder of the sheep, right? He's the main guy of the sheep. The ayil represents prosperity of wealth. That's why you will find that these types of korbanot, when it was a communal offering, when the society made an avera or something like that, right? Or Aharon, when he's being mekadesh the Mishkan, he brings a bull for the people, for the community, because the community represents the idea of we can move mountains. If we stick together, we can pull through here. When a prominent a person would make an avera, or it was an avera based on money, so they would bring an ayil. And when it was an avera that had to do with a person simply sticking his face at Hashem and saying, no, I'm not going to do it, then he brought the goats, the ez. Turtle doves, the birds, represent Am Yisrael. Why is that? Because the birds